Walking the spiritual path and the human path you see there's a difference between being human and walking a human path. Because walking the human path is not just living as a human, but embodying the human truth, as we are trying to do in this retreat. As we want to reach spiritual enlightenment, so we want to reach human enlightenment too. It's different, but it's as important. Anyway, walking the spiritual path and the human path is not always easy. And the most we are tested, not when things are going smoothly, everything is beautifully opening, but in times of difficulties. When things are not going well, nothing is opening, we feel stuck. You can experience it in your evolution into higher states of consciousness, but also in this healing work. Your heart is not opening. You want to enter inside, but it just wouldn't open. You try to access the I am of the divine, and you cannot find it in your heart, that doorway to it. One thing you need to understand, as it was explained yesterday, you have made pre-birth agreement that you will go through all that suffering as a part of your path, part of your evolution. If you have forgotten and you feel yourself being somehow punished by existence, feeling a victim because it's so hard, it means you have lost a bigger picture and you need to regain that bigger picture, that bigger perspective on yourself. Because understanding that you have agreed for that, to face all these difficulties, will help you to change your relationship with these difficulties. You will actually stop resisting them. You will stop fighting back, rather embracing them and allowing yourself to utilize them from a deeper place, into something constructive. Because there's always something to learn. Spiritually speaking, if one cannot enter universal consciousness, over and over again one is not entering or is regressing, there's obviously a reason. So instead of fighting that, going against the stream, trying to force yourself to enter universal, perhaps you can look inside and identify why. Why is it so hard? What is blocking you? What is distracting you? Okay, we have made an agreement that we have to go through some suffering in this life. But the problem is that we are making it worse. Meaning the suffering that you experience is not necessarily the suffering you have agreed upon. It is suffering caused by your resistance to that suffering, by your inability to learn from that suffering, by your inability to simply embrace it as a part of your path. And then, maybe it's still difficult, but it's no longer a torture. It's okay, you can handle that. And also the duration of these difficulties, of that difficult time, will be shorter. Not extending itself month after month or year after year, God forbid, but because the suffering is something that is teaching you, you have to learn, and then it is removed. If it is too long, meaning you are not learning. So you keep suffering until you learn. This is how it works. It's all about you and you learning. Nobody wants to make this journey difficult for you. On the contrary, the Divine wants to make this journey as easy as possible, but it cannot be too easy, because you will not learn. You will not go through this learning curve that you are supposed to. Suffering also teaches you humility. It softens that rigidity of ego. It's also an important aspect of suffering. And if the ego resists and keeps being rigid, that suffering will continue until ego learns. until something in that ego structure will melt away, revealing that deeper layer of humility. In other terms, suffering, one of its purposes is to break the ego. It has to break, because it has become somehow living in that separation, in that isolation. It has developed certain quality of arrogance. So let's assume there is no suffering and that ego is doing so great, it will remain arrogant. It will not break. The fundamental principle in regards to your relationship with difficulties in your journey: never, ever, under any circumstances, give up. Don't even think about giving up. Don't even harbor that thought at the back of your mind, because this is not an option. Admitting failure is not an option. You cannot go against your original plan, against the original agreement. Well, theoretically you can, but what good it will do? You'll have to come back and do it again. And again and again. And again, until you do it right. So it's better to do it now, in this life, especially that you have this tremendous support. Greatest soul it applies to many things. Like this teaching is being renewed. It's very different. It's not a repetition of the past. And you are being renewed by following it now, because you have to change too. So everything here is being renewed. Shedding the past away, like a skin of a snake, is a very important quality while walking the path of truth, that by its nature is revelatory. It's always new. And past is gone. Those who dwell in the past, they have like those iron balls chained to their ankles, and they just cannot move forward. Past is important, because without past we would not be here. But the thing is that past has to be self-consumed. It has to consume itself, leaving nothing behind. So that the door, the space towards the future, can completely open. Even in this healing work, we are actually taking away your past from you. Because even if you do not dwell on the past in your mind, in your memories, you are still emotionally chained to your past. So we want to unchain you. So, your relationship with difficulties, very important, to be patient and don't make them worse by resisting them, rather embrace them and learn from them, what they are trying to tell you. Is it your fault? Or it's just the nature of the path? Or is it a combination? If it's the nature of the path, not much you can do about it, but just patiently let yourself experience them until you transcend them. Because as you are experiencing difficulties, so you are constantly transcending them too, moving beyond them. If it's your fault, identify it and correct yourself internally, and correct your relationship with the difficulty that you experience. Perhaps you are not skillful enough. Learn skillfulness. Perhaps you are too rigid. Learn softness. Perhaps you are too mild. Learn strength. Focus. Perhaps you are controlling too much yourself. Spiritually and emotionally, learn how to release that control, how to just be, relax inside, open more space of allowance. And don't be afraid. Because perhaps you controlled due to fear, insecurity, so let go of that fear. Trust. When you let go of your fear, there will be natural trust. You don't even have to trust. But never give up. That's the bottom line. Never even think of giving up. Because that thought alone is toxic. Do your best, truly your best, and we will help you. Because it works like that, you receive help when you have indeed, truly, done your best. Perhaps you have not done things perfectly. That's all right. But as long as you have done your best, that's enough for us. So examine yourself. Have you truly done your best? And it's not that you will go again into, I am not good enough, I have not done things as I should have. Into this mode of judging yourself, criticizing yourself. No, don't do that. We do not ask you to do things perfect, so that you can be good enough. We ask you to do your best. And one of the important aspects of doing your best refers to your relationship with your difficulties. Have you done your best? Relating to your challenges, to your frustration, to your inability to progress. Have you done your best? And if you have, even if it appears that you have not progressed, actually you have progressed because you have done your best. And that's a rare thing. So just to say at the end, never give up and always be kind to yourself. As you know, we'll have Shiva transmission. The purpose of it is to burn vasanas in the mind, impure tendencies, negative emotional patterns in the mind, and some of them which may have already assimilated into identity of the person. So we'll be also working towards transforming the person, how the person is experiencing himself. And before that, you need to bring all these things forth and be conscious in your mind what it is that you want to get unburdened from. Because it is a combination of how conscious you are of what is that you want to dissolve, change, and your readiness to give it up. That allows the transmission to work. It always works, but how deeply it works, it depends on all these elements. Remember, Shiva respects you and respects your path and respects your learning. He respects even your suffering. So he can help you only as much as it is right for you at this time. And one more thing. I wanted to say that you should try always, in all circumstances, to be in your heart. And you should experience your heart as your main center, not your head. Whether you walk around, you talk to someone, you eat, heart is your main center. You should learn how to experience your mind from the heart, not the vice versa.